I'm Chad from Chad DIY. In today's project, I'm going to show you how to side a house all by yourself. So let's get started.
I'm going to start by marking all my stud locations. I'm just using a 4-foot level and then I'm going along at 16 inches on center. I'm able to see the seams of the OSB board underneath the house wrap, so that's how I know where the studs are. Next, I'll start marking all the edges of the windows. Once I have all my marks in place, I'll easily be able to line up the trim with them. Now I can take a quick measurement to see how long the first piece of trim needs to be. I can cut it to length with my miter saw. Now I can use my siding nailer to nail it in place. Next, I can start working on the trim piece around the outlet. I'll start by removing the outlet cover so I can use that as a guide on the trim. I'll mark an outline all around the trim so I know where to cut. I just use a jigsaw to cut out the trim. And now I can screw the trim back into place. Once I have all my trim up around the windows and the outlet, I can start making my starter strip for the siding. I'm ripping about a 1.5 inch piece off a full 16-foot piece of lap siding. Now I can nail up the starter strip. I'm just kind of lining it up on the bottom of the OSB board and working my way down. The purpose of the starter strip is to make sure the angle of the first piece of siding is correct. Once I have the starter strip in place, I can add my first piece of lap siding. I'm just flushing it up with that starter strip and lifting it up as I work my way down. Once I have the first piece of siding up, I can use these special clamps to hold everything in place. These really are a must for a one-man siding job. I can now just add the clamps and work my way up the side of the house. I can give it a quick check for level and nail everything in place. Once I have one board nailed in place, I'll just move the clamps up a row and repeat the step. For any places that you have to cut into the lap siding, it's important to paint it before you put it up. Between each seam, I also add a piece of synthetic flashing to make sure no water is getting through. I'll just keep repeating the process of moving up the clamps and adding the siding. With this LP Smart siding, I'm making sure to leave a 3/16 gap between the siding and the trim. It can really go fast when you can use the full 16-foot pieces. The clamps also make it very handy for measuring the parts you have to cut out. Most of the cuts I'm making are just with a jigsaw and a wood blade on it. Once again, I will paint all the cut edges. The final step is adding some caulking. I'm using a Quad Max caulking that stays pretty flexible with the different temperatures. It's also paintable once it's dry, so you'll hardly see the seams once it's all done.
Well, here's the finished product, all painted up and everything. Pretty straightforward project, I guess. As you can see, you can definitely accomplish it by yourself. Might be easier with extra set of hands, but those clamps make all the difference. So if you like this project, hit that like button, and as always, please subscribe.